Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. All praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we send our salutations and greetings to our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters and viewers, welcome to your favorite show, Ask the Imam. I have two great Sheikh with me, Sheikh Haroon and Sheikh Waddah Saleh with me for these sessions, and a session every Friday from 2:30 up until 3:30. So this is your golden opportunity to ask these Sheikhs any questions you may have, whether they're worldly questions or spiritual questions or any other matters that you'd like to ask. Please call into the studio on 0151 260 3986, or you can also message us through our Facebook, the Abdullahquilliamsociety. Like it, share it, but please subscribe the YouTube channel, the Q Media, and also press the bell button. That will remind you when we come on the air every time. So inshallah, jazakumullah khairan for joining us in this special edition of Ask the Imam. We are waiting for your call. We'd rather do less talk and take more calls, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Haroon.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm going to have to be slightly rude.
No problem. While Sheikh Haroon is sending messages to all his followers, I'm going to say Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Waddah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala ashrafi khalqillah. We've been speaking about this before, me and Uncle Mumin. We're always saying, the ginger sheikh, the brown sheikh, and that. We're only doing it as like a little banter, something fun. But we gotta give Sheikh Haroon his respect, his full due respect in a way.
Absolutely.
No, it's true. People need to know it's light-hearted in a way, but you'd be called anything, he's still our Sheikh Haroon.
Inshallah. No, absolutely. Sheikh Haroon is a mufti. He's qualified in Sharia law.
First of all,
and also
hold on.
Whatever you may name it.
Bismillah. Can I interrupt now?
Inshallah.
First of all, there's not two great sheikhs, so stop introducing that way. There's one great sheikh and there's one brother sat here. And secondly, mufti is a big title.
You have that, Sheikh.
No, who's giving it you? Who's giving it?
The whole of Ummah.
It's a mufti who recognises a mufti, and with all due respect, I don't think you're a mufti here.
I'm not at all.
We can call you Sheikh Saab, but not mufti.
No, not even a Sheikh Saab. I'm just the host of this lovely show, wonderful show. Now, it's very true that we are very fortunate to have Sheikh Haroon in our city.
Will you stop it?
It's also for the benefit of the Ummah.
Please
for
don't.
the benefit of the Ummah.
I'm walking off now. See you
Okay, may Allah reward you for your good actions and your good advice, Sheikh. So, brothers and sisters, viewers, if you are watching this program, as soon as Sheikh Haroon uploads his connections, I'm sure we'll get loads of calls, Sheikh Waddah. Can I ask Sheikh Waddah to do a beautiful recitation like you did last week? Bismillah. Hamza?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا السماء انفطرت وإذا الكواكب انتثرت وإذا البحار فجرت وإذا القبور بعثرت علمت نفس ما قدمت وأخرت يا أيها الإنسان ما غرك بربك الكريم الذي خلقك فسواك فعدلك في أي صورة ما شاء ركبك كلا بل تكذبون بالدين وإن عليكم لحافظين كراما كاتبين يعلمون ما تفعلون إن الأبرار لفي نعيم وإن الفجار لفي جحيم يصلونها يوم الدين وما هم عنها بغائبين وما أدراك ما يوم الدين ثم ما أدراك ما يوم الدين يوم لا تملك نفس لنفس شيئا والأمر يومئذ لله. هلو السلام عليكم كولا.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Assalamu alaikum. Is that Fatima? Fatima?
Maryam.
Oh.
Assalamu alaikum, Maryam. Maryam from London.
Assalamu alaikum, Maryam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
You know, today is not the Quran reading day. Sorry?
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good and these two are good, although Uncle Mumin is disturbing me. He's calling me a big mufti and a grand sheikh, and I don't like that. So go on anyway, Maryam, what we doing for you?
The question about the proverb, how we used to play with kids. How does that even make meaning? How does the kids used to play with and toys?
Maryam, we can't hear you clearly, so speak clearly into your phone.
How did the Prophet play with the kids?
How did Prophet play with kids? Excellent, Maryam. That's a brilliant question, that one. Because you know why? There's a bab, there's a door of Jannah. There's a door to paradise, which has on it, this is a door for those who are nice to children. And one of the ways to enter into Jannah, into paradise, is just being nice to kids. I'll just give you two examples, and inshallah Sheikh Waddah, if he can think of any examples. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to play with his kids, and more so his grandkids, because they were young. And also he had a lot of stepchildren, because he married women who already had kids. And they used to climb on his back, they used to climb on his shoulders. He used to play around with them. And one time, there was a Sahabi, but he's like from the desert. And those from the desert, man, Bada, Jaffa, like they're kind of strong. So they don't play around with kids. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, one time he's playing around with the kids are crawling around, they're climbing over him. And he starts picking up the kids and starts kissing them. And his name is Aqra ibn Habis. He looks at the Prophet and says, "You kiss your children?" He said, "Yes." He says, "I've got 9 children, I've never kissed any one of them." And Nabi said, "What can I do for somebody Allah's taken the mercy and love out of his heart?" So that's one example. He used to play and he used to hold the kids, he used to climb on his back, they used to go on his shoulders. They used to do everything. And he told the companions that that's a sign of his love and his mercy. Second example, I do this with my, Fatima's grown older now, she's too heavy now, so she's 7.5. Musa's still at that age, he's 5.5. So first I'll give my example, then I tell the Prophet, when I go into sajda, they just see like a little slide to climb onto. Yeah. So you've had that, haven't you? So when I go into sajda, Musa just runs and climbs onto my back. Yeah. And now he's in the habit, he wants to get on my shoulders. And so when I stand up, he's on my shoulders, either on my back or my shoulders. But I let him do that. And sometimes I'll stay in sajda longer just because he wants to climb on. And that's what the Prophet would do. His granddaughter he'll be in sajda. The houses of the Prophet were all around the masjid. So they come into the masjid while he's in sujood. They climb on his back. And the Prophet, when he's asked about it, and why he made his sajda longer, he said, because they climbed on my back. So the Prophet did not get upset or angry and say, "Kids, behave yourself, go home," or whatever. He let them climb on his back, even though he's in the most important of all things, which is prayer. He let them and he climbs up and they're on his back. So that's why I tell people, if you got young kids and they're climbing in your back in prayer, let them, because it's sunnah. That's what the Prophet did. Let them, and definitely don't tell them off. So that's how the Prophet, even in prayer, he would let them play on his back. Wallahu a'lam. So they're the two examples that come to my mind. Wallahu a'lam.
No, but it's true, mashallah, Sheikh. The way you're thinking about it when they're praying, they're doing the salah.
Sorry, Maryam, jazakallahu khairan. Thank you very much. That's a great question. I love that question.
Did you win the prize?
Does she get prizes all the time?
She gets a prize, yes. We're going to post some prizes over to her.
Has she already got too many?
No, she hasn't. She's received many, but I haven't posted it yet. So prices are on the way.
From London, isn't it? That's the thing.
She's from London.
Okay.
Mariam's on yesterday. She did a beautiful nasheed in English about mother. Yes,
wow.
maybe
I've got a few in Arabic.
Yes, you got a few in Arabic. So thank you, Mariam. Jazakumullah khairan. So, brothers and sisters, if you are watching this show, you're watching Ask the Imam show, where you can ask any question you may have in your mind, spiritual questions or even worldly questions that you have. We have a question. Yeah. Okay, Sheikh Waddah, please take it. Well, Sheikh Haroon is sorting.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. Who's calling? Sorry.
Brother, my name is Abdul Karim.
Abdul Karim. And where are you calling from, Brother Abdul Karim?
Brother, I'm calling not far from the mosque on Kensington anyway.
Okay.
MashaAllah.
Brother, I have 4 questions. 3 of them it's about Jum'ah, and 1 of them it's about the child, whether it's a girl or a boy.
طيب, Assalamu alaikum, Abdul Karim.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
Hayakallah. Can you ask it one at a time? Because I know I'll forget once you get to the 4th one.
Inshallah.
Bismillah.
Inshallah. You know, during the khutbah, when let's say you reading the khutbah and I am listening to you, obviously, inshallah, after lockdown, I know it's closed now, the mosque, yeah? When you say Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, can I say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or do you and me be silent in that second as well?
Yes, you can say it, but sirran, say to yourself. But yes, you can say it.
Okay then, because as we know, I cannot talk nothing at all.
Yeah, that's right.
While on a khutbah. Second thing, between the 2 khutbah, when you sit down for like half a minute or less, everybody doing dua. Is that okay to do dua, or do you and me be silent as well? Because I see some people reading dua between the 2 khutbah.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. Because on the view of the qawl of most of the imams, the hurma, the prohibition of talking or doing dhikr or reading Quran, is actually during the khutbah itself. So here it's not during, you're not reading anything or making dua whilst the khatib is speaking. So on that basis, yes, it's fine.
Okay. And third question about the Jum'ah. For example, now we are on a lockdown, yeah?
Yeah.
And we can't come to the mosque for the khutbah and listen to you, of course, sitting there and see you direct. Can I do my pray on time, or do I have to wait till your khutbah finishes on Facebook and then pray?
No, you can do as soon as the time comes in. It's afdal. It is always better to wait until the Jumu'ah is finished and then do. But even in normal circumstance, like a woman who's praying at home, she doesn't have to wait until after Jumu'ah is finished. It's still fine for her to start as soon as the time comes in. So you're okay. There's no problem.
All right then. Well, my 4th question is about the child. As I heard of other imams, they saying that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked for some kind of qurbani when the child born. For example, if the child is a son, if the boy, they can do 2 qurbanis when he's like 7 days old, or 7 months old, or 7 years old. And when the child is girl, it can be 1 qurbani when she's like 7 days or 7 months or 7 years old. When she's 7, basically, 1 qurbani for the girl and 2 qurbani for the boy. how sahih this is? How correct is this?
Yeah, no, this is from the Sunnah. It's not technical. It's not called qurbani. It's aqiqah. Aqiqah.
Yeah,
That's aqiqah. That's what you're told about. And aqiqah, on the view of most of the Imams, is Sunnah. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he did it for Sayyidina al-Hasan and Sayyidina al-Hussein, his grandsons. And it's about farah. It's you sacrifice the animal. You either give it to the poor, or you even here you distribute it, or you even just have a meal with that and invite people just as a celebration and happiness that you've had a child. So yeah, that's from Sunnah to do that, aqiqah. And as you mentioned, yes, from the Sunnah, according to most, there is some different views, but according to most, if it's a boy, then you sacrifice 2. If it's a girl, you sacrifice 1. Wallahu a'lam. So yeah, aqiqah Sunnah, yeah.
Okay, so let's say in here I can't do no sacrifice. Let's say in here, obviously I can't do it back home, but not in here. So can I invite people when my daughter, inshallah, she's 7 years of age? Yeah, can I invite people and eat as well in the same time?
I'm sorry, Abdul Kareem, it's not 7 years old. It's 7 days old. It's 1 week after the birth. That's the Sunnah.
So it's just 7 days old. So when the 7 days gone past, so we missed it basically.
No, you haven't missed it. Yani, the afdal is 7 days. It's better to do on 7 days. But if you haven't done it and the child's still young, then you can still do it.
Anytime.
Anytime. Yeah. How old is the child? How old's your daughter?
7, inshallah, soon 7.
7 years old.
7 years old.
MashaAllah, do it. There's no. The preferable is in 7 days, but with niyyah of aqiqah, it can be any age.
Okay.
And if it's not done, nothing to worry about. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he also did a sacrifice for the whole of the ummah. So the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam sacrificed on behalf of the whole of the ummah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, barakallahu fikum, ya Sheikh.
Jazakallah khair, Abdul Kareem, mashallah. Shukran for those questions.
Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much. We have got Jazakumullah khairan, brothers and sisters, for your messages on the Facebook. If you have any questions, you can text them on the Facebook as well as on the WhatsApp number that's there. But the best thing to do is to give us a call, like Brother Abdul Kareem did, and get your questions answered. We have got a few questions on the screen, Sheikh. The first one,
ask you to answer.
can we take the COVID-19 vaccination? If I answer it on behalf of you, and I'm sure Sheikh Haroon...
let me answer first and then you add yours.
Yes, of course, definitely.
So, Islam Abu Khalid, the answer is yes. Tfaddal. Now you do your spiel.
Okay, the Sheikh has given it a go ahead. So basically, look, the vaccine is there for a reason, and it is been given to more than 10 million people, in UK alone, but globally it's much more than that. It's very vital and it's essential that this COVID-19, the coronavirus, is protected. It protects you. So if I would say, I have consulted with many doctors, consultants. I have taken it myself, and Sheikh Haroon will do it next week, inshallah.
Hold on. What's this?
You're taking the vaccine. You're not against the vaccine, are you?
No, I'm not against it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to do it Anfield, right?
Anfield, yes.
Can you arrange for Klopp to come and inject it?
He'll do
I'm
that
only
for
doing
you.
it. I'm not doing Dr. Hamid. I want Jurgen Klopp to do it.
Okay, we'll get.
Although right now he needs to get injected as well.
We'll do both of you together. We'll do both of you together, inshallah. Yes. So the crucial thing is, yes, do get yourself vaccinated if you get the opportunity. If you got an elderly person above the age of 65, 70, you definitely need to contact your GP for an appointment. If you are vulnerable, also contact your GP to get vaccinated. There is, as far as we know, there is no harm, and it is advisable, and the government is vaccinating vast amount of people, millions of people, as soon as they can. And there are many vaccination centers across the country. So please take the opportunity to vaccinate yourself. It will protect you from the virus and also protect your family and the community around you. One final advice is, please, if you don't need to go outside, don't go into the crowded places. If you do, make sure you wear face masks. When you come home, wash your hands for 20 seconds. I know many of my relations are affected, and many of my friends' relations and the community at large is largely affected from the BME, Black and Ethnic Minority groups, are most vulnerable. So make sure you protect your community and stay alert on this killer disease, basically.
Time's up now on the announcement. Yeah?
Time's up.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Are you getting paid?
I'm not getting paid, but look, my job as a community practitioner is about telling people to protect themselves and their families.
Yeah, but you do a good job as a
coronavirus is real. I'm not getting paid, but probably if somebody takes it and they get the benefit, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward me on that, I hope.
Everybody say Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Mumin wants his payment from Allah, not from Pfizer.
No, not from Pfizer, no. Not from Dr. Hamid either.
Yeah. Okay, shall we carry on with some questions?
Please, let's take some questions. Go on, take the questions.
But I'm allowed to sing today, right?
You're allowed to sing.
Oh, it's not the singing, Sheikh. It's on the screen as Ask the Sheikh. Okay. Yeah, so that means I've got to sing a few today.
Okay.
Shall we do it?
Put it up singing, Sheikh Hamza.
Oh, yeah. Shall we do that one?
Okay, right. Yeah, let's do that one, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam. When visiting a cemetery, mashallah. When visiting cemetery, can we put a green twig onto anyone else's grave or only your relatives? You can put it on anybody's grave. Just for those who are unaware, the Prophet, he would plant a twig on the grave of deceased, and he told us that as long as that twig is alive, then it does tasbih. It says subhanallah, subhanallah, and it brings peace and comfort to the person inside the grave. And we know from the ayah, وَمِن شَيْءٍ لَا يُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِهِ وَلَكِنْ لَا تَفْقَهُونَ تَسْبِيحَهُ. Everything does tasbih of Allah, but you don't understand it. So right now, if we had the twig in front of us, we wouldn't hear anything. You go in the grave, you hear it loud and clear. So that's what brings peace. And just to add here, because it kind of annoys me, and we've taken adat al-ghayr al-Muslimin, we've not adopted the practice of non-Muslims. When we bury somebody, just lay lovely flowers and floral wreaths all over it. That doesn't do anything for the deceased.
Right.
It's the twigs in there. That's what helps the deceased. That's just a decoration for you, just to make yourself feel that you've honored the deceased. You actually want to help the deceased follow the sunnah and plant some twigs in the grave. Or if you're particular about flowers, get some live flowers and plant them inside. And that does tasbih.
So live plantation is the advisable.
Yeah, it can be anything.
Okay.
So so Sister Idris, excellent. And yeah, there's no requirement. You can only do for your own. Yeah, you want to help every single deceased Muslim. Wallahu a'lam.
Barakallah fi. We're not going to take that question from Adam.
Adam needs to phone in.
He needs to ring in.
Yeah, no, that's the rule. Adam Hart is banned from writing questions.
That's
right?
it.
He's only
thank you, brother Bilal Yunus, for your comment, brother. Dr. Muhammad Didi says, Mariam wins the prize for the best question, inshallah. Yes, so far she is the best question.
Yes.
Dr. Didi, good friend of us.
Dr. Didi,
a very humble person as well.
I want to say live, Dr. Didi, أحبك في الله. I love that man for the sake of Allah.
I love him too.
Because you know why?
Yeah.
He loves the Quran. That's a man who loves the Quran.
But he loves the Quran and he also loves the Ummah. Whenever he speaks, he speaks so humbly.
Ummah's all good and well. He loves the Quran. Let's go there.
He loves the Quran above all. But of course, he's a wonderful creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, he's a perfect servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who's serving humanity at his best.
Yeah,
that's what I have found.
Dr. Didi,
mashallah. May Allah give him long life. Right, go on. Over to Sheikh Waddah. Do you have any questions on yours?
People asking
what is the best sadaqah jariyah for those who have passed away?
Okay,
that's on the screen.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Allahu Akbar.
Adil Mahmoud, thank you for your question.
I'm trying to get a song on. Well,
after this one, we'll go to strong. Sorry,
I haven't got one up yet, so let's do this one. So sadaqah jariyah. Again, just to clarify for those who aren't aware, the Prophet ﷺ told us that إِذَا مَاتَ ابْنَ آدَمَ, when a human being dies, all of his deeds come to an end except for three. And the three he mentioned was, I won't put you on the spot. Do you remember them? Do you remember what the three were?
Oh, well, the three things is leaving a pious child.
Yeah.
And building something in charity that helps people after you pass away.
Do you remember the third?
Yeah, and the third one is the good deed that you leave behind. Not
Close.
quite.
Knowledge that people take benefit from. That was good. 2 out of 3, mashallah. You will become a sheikh soon, yeah?
No, not with these numbers.
Sadaqatun jariyah. So one of the three the Prophet mentioned is that you give something charity which carries on going on. So when you say what's the best, masjid, madrasa, anything that people, wells in poor countries, anything that people keep on benefit from. But masjid in particular, because masjid is masjid. Like you build a masjid, that's a guarantee of Jannah for you. And this is mashallah, man. This is bannat lil masajid, Mumin. MashaAllah ta'ala, he's so involved in building and helping with masajid, and that's a sign of somebody has a rank with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you're talking about sadaqah jariyah, masajid. No doubt masajid amongst the best things that there are.
The best thing.
Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakumullah khair. Okay, that's really good. Assalamu alaikum all. What is the ruling of reciting Quran over the deceased? Is there a difference of opinion in this? Shamsul Islam, thank you for your question, brother.
Shamsul Islam, I like him. You know why?
Never walk alone. Eh?
Yeah, he's a diehard red. He's from Rochdale.
There we go.
You have to end it with his "You never walk alone."
Yeah. I've got him on Facebook, but yeah.
Oh, is that what it says? YNWA?
Yeah, you'll never walk alone.
Wow, I'm miles behind.
This guy needs to be educated.
Yeah, that's another one from our production director.
Yeah, I know where you're from. Okay, so what we do? Am I singing or not?
Let's start singing then.
Or should we do some questions?
No, start singing. We'll go to the questions.
I'll do
after.
the one from last week. I like that. الصبح.
Yeah.
الصبح بدا من طلعته والليل دجى من وفرته الصبح بدا من طلعته والليل دجى من وفرته فاق رؤوسنا فضلا وعلا أهدى السبل.
Always.
Okay.
Singing says, Bismillah. Take the call, Sheikh.
We're getting into that, will we?
Yeah, I've been reading it all week for this.
I mean, well, we've been revising on that. Let's take the call. Assalamu alaikum, caller.
That's messed it up there.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. Sorry to disturb your singing, but I'm calling in today.
Is that Omar?
Of course.
Put your phone down. We want to sing. Call back in 2 minutes.
I've got a question.
Sheikh Waddah's been practicing this all week.
Let me down.
How you doing?
Go out shopping in a few minutes.
Assalamu alaikum, Omar. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Just 1 second. Mumin, you don't remember him. A couple of years, he's from Preston.
Okay.
A couple of years back, he did like a Jummah masjid crawl. He was traveling around the country every Jummah just to go and see different ones.
That's right.
He came to this masjid.
Yeah.
And you actually, Omar, did you come to the front?
Yes, I got shown around.
Yeah, so you won't remember.
I think I
him.
did met him.
All you know, he's a baldy, this one.
Okay, right.
You might, go on, Omar.
You might have already, someone might have asked it. So, with the lockdown that we had for the past year, and it's affecting everyone mentally, what advice do you have for Muslims to get over this mental health illness?
You know what, Allah, speaking about mental health is one thing, because that's a very specific problem that people face. And so although there are spiritual solutions to that, but also it's more like you got your kids around you every single day, family just like cooped up in the house all day long. So it's gonna have an effect, and it does cause difficulties. But just generally, the advice from the beginning is just start finding, just start doing things together in terms of your deen. Praying Jama'ah in the masjid. Read Surah Yasin together in the morning. Read Surah Al-Mulk together in the evening. Do some salawat and some dhikr together. Do things, because that's what brings anwar into the masjid. The light of guidance protection come through these acts. So like all the screaming and the shouting and the bawling that goes on, a lot of that's going to be removed by those things. So just simple things. Try and pray in Jama'ah at home. Try and do the adhan at home. Do the adhan at home, because that drives away all types of evil from the home. Read Quran together. Quran together is so powerful, and just keeping the hearts of the family together. Do those things together. And the important thing is to try your utmost to do together. If not, then just make sure it's taking place at home. Wallahu a'lam.
Yeah.
Omar, you're the Imam of your house, mate, aren't you?
No, my wife is.
So that's not about that,
No, he's a bit of a joker, this one.
I think I may have met him if he's gone around the country. I do remember meeting somebody. Did you do a profile on Abdullahquilliam Masjid?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so I must have met him then. Yeah.
Did you say nice things about Mumin?
Did you meet me? Have you met me with a red hat?
Of course I have. How can I forget you?
There you go, brother Omar. Yes.
You are a legend, you know that?
The red hat.
Yeah. Your reputation spread, mate.
I've got 2 more questions.
Hold on.
Quick.
We want to sing. Go on.
You can sing after the 2 questions, right?
Go on
Second
then.
question is, I've heard from people like yourself and other scholars that to save one's life is to save all of humanity.
Yeah.
Does giving blood count as that?
Yeah, inshallah. Just again, so Umar asked a question, and that's based on the ayah in the Quran, وَمَنْ أَحْيَاهَا فَقَدْ أَحْيَا النَّاسَ جَمِيعًا. Whoever keeps alive is kept alive, all of humanity. And yeah, if it means that if that person would have died without that donation of blood, particularly in that case, then yeah, that would fall under that, yeah, for sure. Because that has a general meaning. Saving the life of a person can apply in many different circumstances, and that would be one of those. Wallahu a'lam.
Sure. And the final question is...
Can I ask you a question then? Just put you on the spot. Because we're coming to Ramadan.
Okay. Yeah.
If you gave blood during Ramadan, does it break your fast?
No.
Why not?
Because nothing's going in my body, it's coming out.
MashaAllah.
He's on it. MashaAllah.
He's right. Breaking the fast is what goes into the body, not what comes out. Bleeding doesn't break your fast. But I was actually thinking, closer to Ramadan, we should kind of make the theme of the ask the questions around Ramadan itself.
Yes, of course. No, that's a great idea.
Because I can't say, we're not doing this in Ramadan, are we? But we're not going to have this in Ramadan.
If you're around, yes, we can.
No. I've got to be slightly serious in Ramadan, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Month of worship, yeah. So we're going to get
We'll pull in the Ramadan, Sheikh. There we go. Ramadan.
Just Ramadan, that's it. We get serious.
Yeah.
Go on, over your last question, and then we get rid of you.
When this lockdown is finished, you're coming to Preston.
Is that a question?
It's a request. And,
okay, can I say no? Live?
No, you're not allowed to.
Online? I'm telling you, I'll go to Preston, but no, I'm not coming to yours.
Yeah, you are. You're coming to my house again.
Okay, inshallah.
Oh, is it just alone him or us two as well?
No, inviting the Sheikh on his own.
I know. No, I move with these two now.
We are the three rowdies. Wherever he goes, we go.
Yeah.
No problem. Marhaba, mashallah.
And also the cameraman Hamza and all.
Brother
we're going to set up in your house and we're going to stream it live from yours.
You know, we have a commercial pilot with us here, and we will go on a private jet. He'll hire the jet. He can fly it.
So yeah, so if the whole of Abdullah Quilliam setup shifts over to Preston, then we're coming.
Allahu Akbar.
Bismillah.
Bismillah. Thank you so much for your
No,
beautiful questions.
we're not coming. That was all a joke. We're not coming.
Yeah, whatever.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum.
Are we going to sing?
Yeah, carry on with the sing.
Because there's quite a few coming through.
Bismillah.
Oh, carry on.
Carry on where you left off.
فاق الرسل فضلا وعلا أهدى السبل لدلالته كنز الكرم
مولى النعم.
We have a call, Sheikh, with that.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Honestly, they don't like me singing. They don't like.
Can you pull the mic towards you?
Assalamu alaikum, caller.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Who am I speaking to?
Speaking to Sheikh's favourite #1 student of all time.
So that's Abdurrahman, is it, or is it Yusuf, or is it Thaqib?
No,
it's definitely not Haider. I've told you, Haider. You haven't even got into the top 10. Right?
That's definitely top 10.
It's not only Haider. Haider, did you call because you heard us singing and you wanted to stop us singing?
No, definitely not. I'd join in if anything.
Okay, Bismillah, join in. We're going to sing while you're on. Okay?
What are we singing, Sheikh?
الصبح بدا من. You just join along, yeah? Carry on. كنز الكرم مولى النعم هادي الأمم لشريعته أزكى النسب أعلى الحسب كل العرب في خدمته الصبح بدا من طلعته والليل دجى من وفرته سعت الشجر نطق الحجر شق القمر بإشارته جبريل أتى ليلة سرى والرب دعاني حضرته
نال الشرف
والله عفا عما سلف
من أمته
فمحمدنا هو سيدنا فالعز لنا بإجابته الصبح بدا من طلعته والليل دجى من وفرته. Sorry about that. The last time wasn't on mine. Haider, did you sing?
G, Sheikh.
No, G. You didn't say a word, did you?
I did.
Okay, Bismillah. What was your question then?
Sheikh, I have a quick question. If someone's going to buy something from someone, just say like they're going to buy a car or something along those lines, do they have to have a formal contract that's kind of written saying the day and the price agreed, or if they're like brothers or they're close friends, can it just be a verbal agreement?
And Sharia verbal agreements are fine. And written agreements, that's almost like as an extra just to confirm it. But as long as all the requirements are met of a valid contract, all it needs is al-ijab wal-qabul, offer and acceptance. With all contracts like nikah, aqd al-nikah, aqd al-zawaj, marriage, that paper certificate is just something extra. The moment they've made the statements in front of witnesses, that's it. So there's no contract in Sharia that needs paperwork. This is all just extra, just for the sake of certainty. Wallahu a'lam.
So the verbal contract is the real contract.
That's the contract.
That's the contract.
That is the contract.
And the paper one is just a validity as a proof.
Yeah. That's a proof. Yeah, additional proof. Yeah.
That's a good question.
Jazakallah khairan, Haider.
See you soon, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Jazakumullah khair. There's a question from Riaz Bana. Assalamu alaikum. How do you interpret the hadith about the Prophet? Peace and blessings be upon him. How do you interpret the hadith
about
the Prophet?
No, there's more underneath, that's why.
Just Hamza, go down a little bit on Brother Riaz Bana. Okay. Upon him wanting to burn the houses of those that don't pray in the mosque. Wanting to burn.
Yeah. First of all, before answering that question, Riaz Bana, he's a nuisance, this guy. He's a nuisance. We've got a call. Just let's hold on the nuisance, yeah? I'll come back to Riaz. Right on nuisance, this one.
Let's take the question.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
My name is Ibrahim Hamid.
Ibrahim Hamid.
Yes, I want to ask the Sheikh something about that I got as a post. It is that I got these Buddhist mummified body that has been dead 200 years ago. And this Muslim group, they asking me if we believe that it's the pious Muslim that were promised such a state. How come a Buddhist mummy will be found like a live being after 200 years?
Sorry, you know, Brother Ibrahim, I didn't catch everything clearly there.
Okay, let me explain.
No, I didn't do this. About
you said something about mummified.
A mummified body of a Buddhist.
Okay.
That has been dead 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Just been found. The body looks like a live thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and these ever since. What I understand is that this state of a body is meant for the pious Muslim that died. So what is the explanation that we can find?
I think I understand what you're asking. So just let me repeat just to make sure I'm clear. So you're saying like a Buddhist, or the example is more like the ancient Egyptians, the pharaohs.
Yeah, but this one I have the post. It's just recently that the Buddhist body was found. Very recent.
Buddha bodies or
no,
body?
The Buddhist, yeah. But were you saying that they were mummified or preserved, or?
Yes, preserved, but the preservation, I mean, if body is mummified, we still see them somehow, but this body was preserved after 200 years. It looks like a live human being.
So, first of all, what we know from our tradition, from the Quran and Sunnah, is that Allah subhanahu, without any human input, He keeps the bodies of prophets and of martyrs and of of the righteous preserved intact. They do not decompose or deteriorate. But that's karama min Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's Allah subhanahu honoring those bodies by not allowing the earth to touch them. However, the bodies of unbelievers, as well as other believers, will naturally decompose and deteriorate inside the grave, unless there's some human input. Like ancient Egyptians, they preserved the body, so they've mummified it. But that doesn't change what's going on inside the grave, because and let's say if you were to open a grave of a Muslim or a non-Muslim, all you get after, let's say, like 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to find bones there, and that's it. You open that grave, you're not going to see Jannah, you're not going to see Nar, you're not going to see anything like that. Because the Barzakh is a parallel realm. The Barzakh, the intermediary world, is a parallel realm that exists at that location. Allah allows, in some cases, we have stories where the graves of some of the sinners were open, they saw fire in there and so on. But that's Allah just giving some insight into it. But the fact that the bodies of non-Muslims have been preserved by them does not change what goes on inside the barzakh for them. The punishment is still there for them. Wallahu a'lam.
Allahu Akbar.
Jazakallahu khairan.
Allahumma ameen wa iyaakum.
Shukran, jazakallahu khairan. That was a good question.
Well, I think I've seen a post like that.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I found it. Yeah.
So what are we doing next? I'm still trying to find
another one to...
Yeah,
another nasheed.
I'm trying to find... So shall we deal with some questions then?
Okay, what about this one?
Oh, that nuisance. Riyaz Banna is a nuisance. Because he's a die-hard United fan. And even though he claims that I'm his teacher and he loves us and all that, but the moment United win, he's on, and the moment Liverpool lose, he's been causing me so much grief this week, right? So I don't know.
Actually, there is a question from Brother Abdul Mannan. He says, I'm disgusted by the discussion around LFC and all that stuff. Look, LFC is always stands. You shouldn't be disgusted by it.
We won him over now.
That's it. Yeah, so you shouldn't be disgusted by it. Everyone has their right to opinion. Do we have a call, Hamza? Okay, let's take the call, Sheikh Waddah.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, caller.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Who's calling, sorry?
It's a brother from Manchester.
What's your name, brother?
Just a brother from Manchester.
No, you're trying to hide your identity. Who are you?
It's me, Mujahid.
Mujahid. Allahu Akbar, inshallah.
So why were you shy about giving his name?
I don't know.
Anonymous caller, will call him.
Assalamu alaikum, Mujahid.
Go ahead.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. I've got a question which is, at home, in the landing, in the hallway area, would it be considered disrespectful to put some Quranic inscription in the hallway? Because when you're ascending the stairs, at some point, at one point or another, your feet are going to be higher, whether you're ascending or descending.
Yeah, I understand. Jazakallah khair for that question. But sorry, Afwan. Go on, carry on.
Sorry.
Sorry.
If it's not a Quranic ayah, then what about a painting of Masjid al-Haram or something like that? Or any masjid for that matter? And if the answers would be considered disrespectful, then what if somebody responds by saying, if it's in the other rooms, in a normal room, then if somebody's upstairs anyway, it's still going to be higher. So, Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, mashallah. That's a good question about adab ma al-Quran, about how to behave with the Quran. And just to emphasize the points before touching upon the answer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the Quran. He says, في صحف مرفوعة أو في صحف مكرمة مرفوعة مطهرة. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the Quran, He speaks of pages that are honored, that are raised. Pages that are honored, that are raised. And that's why nobody should put the Mus'haf down on the ground, the Quran down on the ground. And just to go to an extreme case, if somebody dishonors the Quran, it's considered to be an act of kufr. Like dishonoring the Quran, like throwing it away, something like it's considered to be an act of kufr. So there has to be some honor with the Quran. And part of that is not to be above it intentionally. Like let's say the Quran here, to have my feet over there, a'udhu billah, that's categorically forbidden because it's showing disrespect to the Quran. Some of the Imams, and I'll just mention that here, they said, for example, if you have a library of books, they said Quran should always be at the top. And then also they said that putting anything on top of the Quran is not adab. Like just putting something like that on top of the Quran should always be on top of everything as an etiquette. So we should maintain the highest etiquette with the Quran. And that's part of the ayah, وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Whoever honors the symbols of Allah, and the Quran is one of the greatest, then that's from taqwa in the heart. So we can also understand it from that ayah. So specifically there, you should try your utmost not to be above the Quran. But then there comes a point of haraj, difficulty. Because if you want to extend what you're asking there, that means you can't have a mushaf downstairs. You can't have it because you're always above. And when you're upstairs, it means everything's above. So then you move into realms of difficulty. It's like, ideally, you should not show your back to the Quran. But if you're in a dars and the students and you're ahead and they're behind, you're not intending to disrespect the Quran there. So in a case like that type of, there's a higher standard, but in terms of what's acceptable, there'd be no harm in doing that, just as there's no harm in keeping copies of the Quran downstairs, even though you go upstairs.
Because I would imagine that when you're upstairs, you've got a layer of floor, isn't it?
Yeah, you can. Perhaps you can treat it that way. Yeah.
But the brothers was asking on the staircase, as you are going from upstairs to, is it allowed to put around the staircase, just above, maybe as high as possible?
Do it in a manner where it's not like clearly that you're over
touching
it.
The feet.
So let's say, let's say it's there and you're going up there and your feet are directly over it.
Yeah.
So if you do it in a manner where you're not directly even indicating that you're doing that, then that's adab with the Quran. Just to add, mashallah, beautiful question about how to behave with the Quran. Some of the fuqaha, some of the imams, they stated, and your husband and wife being intimate, they said it's preferable not to do it with a mushaf in the room, and ideally they should cover it just out of respect for the Quran. Allah. So these are all issues of respect. At that level, you're not falling into hurma, what's forbidden. That's like putting on the Quran or directly having your feet over it. That's when it becomes haram. Allahu a'lam. Jazakallah khairan mujahid.
Adding on that, Sheikh, say for example, a page of the Quran is ripped or gone very old. How should they discard this page?
There's different
suggestions. Can they throw it into a recycling bin or can they burn? What should they do about it?
There's different suggestions about that. So like some of them, like the view of Imam Malik, is that you can burn it because Sayyidina Uthman, he burnt the copies of the Sahaba. There's one view states that you can burn. Others say that was an exceptional circumstance. So they say ideally is to bury it or put it into water so it will decompose naturally.
Okay.
But recycling it, shredding it into small pieces, that's also fine. And then you can recycle that.
But not to throw into your recycling bin or your bin.
No, unless you've shredded it first. Unless you shredded it first and made it into small pieces.
Okay.
Allahu
A'lam. Thank you for that. Okay, are you going to answer that nuisance
questionnaire? I'm still trying to find my song. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, where is it? I found it. Let's go.
Look what Abdul Mannan has. Well, we've answered him anyway, but you need to read that. Go to Abdul Mannan.
No, he's going to get angry at you.
Right. He wants. I'm discussing with all these references with LFC. Shame on you all. Lol.
Oh, it's a lol. Okay, it's a lol. So it's okay then if it's a lol.
Sarah K. Salam Sheikh. Do we have the concept of karma in Islam?
Or the concept of
Go on.
Yes, but and
so
here we have
asking a complicated question, isn't it? Academic questions.
Yeah, we have something like that. But we should be careful that we don't adopt the language and the terms of other faiths. The concept of karma has come from Buddhism and Hinduism. We have our قُلْ إِنَّ هُدَى اللَّهِ هُوَ الْهُدَى. We go to Allah and the Messenger. So instead of using the terms and the languages of non-Muslims, because karma is then also about reincarnation, and not categorically like a'udhu billah. So yes, there are consequences to good and bad deeds that you do, and that's clear from the Quran and Sunnah. And people do suffer for the wrong that they do to others by way of dhulm, for example. And some of that suffering will come back in this world before the next world. And do people carry good and bad energy depending on the action? Yes, they do. But we don't talk about in a good or bad energy. And a person of goodness, and he carries a state with him that affects those around him in a positive manner. Like when you're in the presence of somebody, mashallah, who's like Saleh, who's righteous, it has an effect on you, a good effect on you. But also when somebody's like haram and his ruh, his soul's in a bad way. And that also impacts upon you. Being around the company. The Prophet spoke about Jalis al-Su and Jalis a bad person that you keep company with, that he'll either burn you or he'll leave smoke on you. You get affected by that. So definitely there is that. But the only issue that I got with that is the language that's being used. We should be careful not to, and I'm saying that because that's from one of my teachers, Sheikh Hassan al-Hindi, hafidhahullah ta'ala. He made that point that he was talking about sometimes people who are not Muslim, who became Muslim, they're accustomed to so you should be careful that you don't maintain that, because there's certain connotations will come with that. So yes, we have those concepts, but as we understand them within the Quran and the Sunnah. Wallahu a'lam.
We have a call. Let's take the call, Sheikh. Hamza. Sheikh Hamza.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, caller.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Who's speaking? Sorry.
We lost him.
I think our friend, forget his name now. He's one of your students. So if the brother was sorry, the call was dropped. If you like to call back again, please. Thank you, brothers and sisters. You are watching Ask the Imam, Ask the Singing Sheikh, as you like. Any questions you may have, it's been very good so far. We have a number of calls, and thank you so much for all your messages on the Facebook. But please do me a favor, go to our YouTube channel, which is Q Media, subscribe the channel and press the bell button. That'll remind you every time Sheikh Haroon and others come on live on the show. Inshallah, we have so many shows that are coming up for Ramadan time, which is just around the corner. And if you've just joined us, you are listening to Sheikh Haroon and Sheikh Waddah. And if you have any questions, please call the number 0151 260 3986 or send us your questions, messages on the Facebook and on the WhatsApp number. So it's been a very busy time since we've been on the air. We've got another about, oh goodness me, it's nearly coming up to 3:30. We've got about 15 minutes left before we finish. So you have the opportunity to ask the Sheikh any question you'd like to ask. Yes. Let's see if we got some more questions. What's this one? Oh, he's called that question.
It's simply, and it says, which salah is the Salat al-Wusta? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Salat al-Wusta. Yeah, sorry, afwan, I was just thinking of something else. Again, just to be clear, so the question is about Salat al-Wusta, the middle prayer. Somebody call it?
Yeah, let's take the call. No, let's take the call because the callers tend to get, call is important.
Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum, caller.
Assalamu alaikum. You okay, brother?
Alaikum salam, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, brother? You okay?
Alhamdulillah, all good.
Sheikh,
I have a question to do with not praying. If someone does not pray, is it worse than murder? Is it worse than zina? Is it worse than the major sins? Because I seen a video of a da'i called Muhammad Hopeless, and he said that if you don't pray, you're worse than a terrorist, worse than a murderer, you're worse than any other major sins. I just want to know if this is true, because I've seen a fatwa about it as well.
Yeah, wallahu a'lam. What we understand is, that is pretty much true. That perhaps the worst thing that a Muslim can do is not to pray. And we mentioned this in passing today in the khutbah. If there was a Muslim leadership with a Khalifa, people who don't pray, according to the view of most of the Imams, Malik, Shafi, Ahmed, most of them, he's put to death. He just refuses to pray, he's put to death. Abu Hanifa, the easiest opinion, he's imprisoned until he starts become willing, and then he's also lashed daily. And it's considered like the worst crime you can commit against Allah, refusing to pray. So yes, like when the da'i is now saying it's worse than zina, worse than khamr and all that, there is truth to that. And the Prophet said, "Baynana wa baynhum salah." Between us and them is prayer. Whoever leaves has destroyed his religion. So yes, there is truth to that statement. And
I have another question.
Sorry, just to finish that, Imam al-Dhahabi in his book Kitab al-Kaba'ir, he mentions the view of most of the Sahaba was that somebody for no reason leaves his prayer, he's not a Muslim anymore. So it is such a serious matter, not praying. Wallahu a'lam. Tfaddal.
I wanted to ask about if music is haram. I know the music of today is haram. I've heard that Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on him, said that he allowed the selling of musical instruments.
No, he said break them. No. No.
Did he not allow them?
Musical instruments, no. Because again, just to be clear, the problem is instruments, not singing. Singing itself is not the problem, it's instruments. So there's some allowance about the deaf, and there are one or two other instruments that some allow. But generally, no, Abu Hanifa, I studied the madhab of Abu Hanifa, and what I know clearly is that smashing the instruments there's no liability against it. If you, although we're not encouraging this here, but if you saw somebody like Hamza there with a guitar and start playing it, if I took it off and you went and smashed it, I've done khair. I've done good by that. Wallahu a'lam. So I've never heard that Abu Hanifa says that you can buy and sell.
I've heard it from like some video of some scholar. He said that Abu Hanifa said so. I wasn't too sure.
I've not come across that. Wallahu a'lam. What I've come across from Abu Hanifa is the opposite. Jazakallah khairan.
Thank you for your question, brother.
Thank you very much, brother.
You were answering a question earlier on about the prayer Musta.
Oh yes, Salat al-Wusta. So this is the term in the Quran, حافظوا على الصلوات والصلاة الوسطى. Preserve your prayers, but especially the middle prayer. And the reason why we say especially in balagh, in the language of the Quran, this is what's called al-khas ba'd al-'am. All the prayers, but in particular this one prayer. So there's a greater significance. So then the discussion, Allah calls it the middle prayer. What's meant by that? There is some authentic hadith that indicates it's Salat al-Asr. It's the Asr prayer. That Allah subhanahu say, pay particular attention to your Asr prayer. But Ahl al-Madinah, like Malik, he said, no, Fajr. Fajr is the prayer out of all the prayers that you need to be more particular about. So there are different views. Based on authentic hadith, Asr. It's the Asr prayer that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, pay particular attention to. Wallahu a'lam. Well, can I just add a separate point? Because that ayah fascinates me. Like Sheikh Waddah will know. This verse about prayer, when you look at the siyaq of the ayah, like what came before, what came after, it's all about talaq. It's all about iddah. It's about divorce. It's about iddah. It's about like waiting period of women who are in divorce. And then the verse goes back to iddah as well. So when you look at it, like, when you study and reflect over that, the question comes, why have that verse in the midst of all of this discussion about iddah? And then when you think about it, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you, your house is breaking down, your marriage is breaking down, you're in your iddah as a woman and so on, but don't leave your prayer. Don't leave your prayer. The prayer should never ever be left, even in the personal circumstances, the worst of all situations, don't leave your prayer. Wallahu a'lam.
Prayer is solely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The remembrance of Allah.
It is, but the point wasn't that. The point being, at the hardest times in your life, حافظوا على الصلوات. That's all about marriage breakdown. والصلاة الوسطى. In the hardest times in your life, make sure you don't lose your connection to Allah subhanahu with your prayer. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you. A very quick question from our Facebook, old school. Are profits from shisha lounge considered haram or makruh?
Hamza, behave yourself, you. Behave yourself, you.
What flavor?
Most of the imams consider shisha is more dangerous than cigarettes. Because there's no filter. There's no filter.
But doesn't it come to the water?
Yeah, but the nicotine is stronger because it doesn't lessen the effect. Like with cigarettes, the lessening is a lot more. So most of the imams have said smoking cigarettes is haram. By extension, shisha will be the same thing. It's actually worse, even though most people do it.
But profiting from it is okay. Smoking is haram.
Let me come back to that because I spoke to one of my sheikh on that one and we discussed this.
Well,
so
that's fine.
Allah, yeah, I'll leave that for now. Let's go back. What's Sharif saying? Go back just to. Subhanallah. Allahu Akbar.
Who was your favorite teacher when you were studying in Syria? All of them.
All of them. Okay, we'll go with that. Hamza was asking last week. We'll do a one-off session just about like the days in Sham. We'll be going on forever.
Of course,
with that.
yes, we did.
Forever.
I think we did say, we talked about it last week, didn't we?
Yeah, could be it, yeah.
Okay, the very quick one.
Is it permissible to trade in gold?
Yes.
Yes, it is, with certain shurut, with certain conditions. The key one being, there's actually a difficulty with that. It's called Bay' al-Salam in Sharia. It's called sale of currencies, like currency exchange, and the original is gold. There has to be the exchange, taqabud, has to take place in the majlis. There can be no delay. So if you go to a jeweler's, for example, you buy something, you agree to buy that, you have to make the payment there and then and take the gold straight away. You cannot make any delay. The Prophet ﷺ categorically forbade that. So same with gold. If you're exchanging gold, the exchange has to take place there and then. And then secondly, if you're doing gold for gold, there can be no discrepancy in the value. There's no tafadul. There can be no discrepancy. There is some details. So in principle, yes, but there's some very strict conditions that apply to that. Wallahu a'lam.
Let's take the call.
You take that because I'm just trying to send a message.
Assalamu alaikum, caller.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Who am I speaking to?
My name is Jamal.
Jamal, is it?
Jamal? Marhaba, assalamu alaikum.
Jamal. Wa alaikum assalam. Sheikh, I have two questions. One is in Ramadan and reading Salatul Tarawih, can I replace that, or I don't know if replace is the right word, and instead read my qazas? I use that time to read qazas, if I'm doing it now as well.
Can I ask, I've not asked this before, do you follow a particular madhab or not? Or you just take general guidance?
Hanafi. No, I don't take general. I the Hanafi.
Okay, as a Hanafi, Sunnah Mu'akkada should not be dropped. Sunnah Mu'akkada should not be dropped. And Tarawih is Sunnah Mu'akkada. It's strongly, وَسَنَنْتُ لَكُمْ قِيَامًا, and I've made it a Sunnah that you pray. So Sunnah Mu'akkada. Any extra prayers like Nawafil, it's better that you replace your Nafil with Qada. Sunnah Mu'akkada should not be dropped. However, some of my teachers, they're of the view that only applies if you're always doing your qada, like every 3 moments you're making up the prayers. But unfortunately, even people that owe this, the highest of all debts to Allah, they don't really treat their qada seriously. So every so often they just do 1 or 2 prayers and make it up. So in a case like that, the fatwa of one of my teachers, Sheikh Samir al-Nas, is that replace your sunnahs with qada. So like that hour. So if you're not somebody who's doing a lot of qada, then prioritize your qada over everything other than fard and the wajib prayer and the witr prayer. But if you're somebody who's in a habit of doing a lot of qada, then maintain your sunnahs. Wallahu a'lam.
Difficult question, but what is a lot? I mean, what 5 to 10
It'll vary. It's just like that you do, like the advice that we give is like set aside, for example, half an hour a day and just like bang out as many qada as possible. You'll get through a lot that way. You get through a lot. Or set yourself a target every day, like X amount of prayers. If you do it consistently, then you bring down your number of qada.
Just clarify on the qada. Should they be reading the 5 prayers, or is there they just read 2 rakah or 4 rakah saying qada? Because I may have missed number of Fajr prayers, Zuhr prayer, Asr prayer, the 5 prayers.
Yeah.
How should they read the qada prayer? Just to clarify for them.
Anywhere you want, but just, so it's not like you must do the Fajr first or do Fajr only in the Fajr time. Mix it up any way you want. Usually most people will do it. They'll concentrate on Fajr because that's easier to get through.
Okay.
And then the Maghrib, and then they'll do the 4 rak'ah.
So would you be doing the full, say if it's Fajr, you do the 4 rak'ah, if it's Zuhr, you do the 12 rak'ah, is it?
Oh, no. Just the fard. Just the fard. There's no qada of sunnahs. You're not required to make up sunnah.
Okay. So the fard of every prayer?
Yeah, so it's like two for Fajr and 4 for Dhuhr and so, that's all.
Okay, brilliant. Jazakumullah khair, that was really clear. There's one question. Do we have a call?
Is the brother still on? Is he gone?
Thank you, brother, for your call. And thank you so much for Amna E for your questions. For example, there's a question from Amna saying, for example, sometimes when reading the Quran, one can sense that a surah is nearing its conclusion due to a familiar conclusionary tone.
No, it's actually connected to the question. No, it's a question before it starts with.
Okay.
So Amna's saying, are there thematic and or linguistic patterns that run through each surah in the Quran? Yes, there are. For example, sometimes when reading the Quran, one can sense that a surah. Yeah, there's clear patterns in the Quran. The Quran is not like ashwa, it's just like random. There's clear patterns, and every surah links to the surah next to it and to the surah next to it. So there are clear patterns, but that requires an extensive study of the Quran. But there's clear patterns within the surahs. Like when you look at it, for example, Baqarah and Ali Imran, there's clear connections between the two of them. Then you move on, like after you finish the 7 long surahs, you go into the Alif Lam Ra surahs. They're all interlinked. It's from Surah Hud all the way up into Surah Al-Hijr. Then you move into Surah Bani Israel and Surah Al-Kahf. There's connections between them. So there's definite patterns, but that needs a thorough study of the Quran.
Okay, thank you for that. Do you have any questions on yours, Sheikh Waddah?
I'm trying to find my song.
Oh, what about the singing? We're calling you
singing
Sheikh here. And while you're looking for your song, let me see if there's any other valid question that we can ask. Is music haram, Sheikh?
We've answered that.
You've answered that, yes. Which one shall we go for, Hamza? Okay,
We've done that. We called in the end.
Abdul Rahman Ali Ashad. That's in Arabic. I can't read it.
السلام عليكم إذا ممكن هل تستطيع أن تنشد القصيدة البردة الله أكبر من فضلك. Let's do a couple of lines, yeah. He wants us to sing the burda. That takes an hour to do the whole thing.
Right, okay. Well, he'll have to invite us to his house after the lockdown.
But mashallah,
we'll do it in style.
Let's just do a couple of lines. Yeah. Let's do a couple of lines of the burda because I can't find the song.
If you got it, then let's.
No, there's a couple of lines.
A couple of lines.
مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن عجم هو الحبيب الذي ترجى شفاعته لكل هول من الأهوال مقتحم يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. That was 3 lines. 3 lines, that's enough for him.
That's enough for him.
It's 10 chapters, so 3 lines
makes him happy. There's Sophia Aslam said there are 3 questions there, Sheikh. Would you like to take?
Okay, yeah. Sophia, wa alaikum salam. If your local mosque is closed due to COVID, is it far to go to another mosque in another area to pray Jumu'ah with? Right now, until things go back to some normality, I think like for the Ummah as a whole, they're excused if they don't pray Jumu'ah. They're excused because khawf intishar al-marad is clear. There is a genuine concern about spread of sickness and disease. So, Allahu alam, up until things go back to normal, then inshallah, those who are not praying, inshallah, they're excused. Allahu alam. What's the second one? Talaq. Go down, Hamza. Someone divorced his wife over 5 years ago but only gave 1 talaq and hasn't spoken to her since. Is an obligation for him to give 3 talaq so she can marry again? No, a'udhu with 3 talaq is haram. According to Abu Hanifa, 3 talaq is haram. The correct way, what's known as ahsan talaq, the proper, the better way of divorcing is... Assalamu alaikum? Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you, Sheikh? This is Ijaz.
Sorry,
Ijaz.
oh, Ijaz.
Oh,
mashallah, our dearest beloved brother Ijaz.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah. Can I put an order in for tomorrow?
Yeah, you want to know?
Cheeseburgers are nice.
Cheeseburger or the pizza?
You want pizza, but cheeseburgers. No, honestly, cheeseburgers are good.
Fast food, stay away from it.
Go on, yeah. Sorry, Ijaz, do you have any question, any comments?
Yeah, I just have a few questions. You know about Surah Kahf. When in a start, Allah mentioned about Ashab Kahf, then is Rakim as well.
Yeah.
What's who they are and
what's Raqim?
Yeah.
There's a big discussion amongst Mufassirin about Raqim. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, from what I remember, I think Imam Fakhruddin al-Razi, he mentions this. He narrates from Ibn Abbas, he says, there's 4 words in the Quran that I didn't understand. And he said, one of them is Raqim. Yeah. So Ibn Abbas, on one riwayah from him, says, I didn't understand Raqim. But there are other suggestions. Some said Raqim is the name of the dog. Some said Raqim is the name of the dog. Others said Raqim comes from Marqum, Maktub. The king and the people, they kept a record of the 7 sleepers in the cave when they disappeared. They wrote it down on a lawh, on a tablet, and they had a record of that. So when they appeared 300 odd years later, they matched it up. So some say Raqim is a reference to the tablet on which they preserve the names. Wallahu a'lam. So Allah, we can't say for definite what is Raqim.
And another question about Hazrat Luqman. When he built a wall, then he said, "That's my Lord's mercy." And when
who built the wall? Dhul Qarnayn or Luqman?
Speak a bit louder, brother.
Dhul Qarnayn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when he said, "That's mercy of my Lord," and when the promise will come, he will level the wall. So how he know that the wall gonna be down and the calm will come again?
Because, see, Dhul Qarnayn, there's a difference over who is he. Is he a Nabi or is he Malik Saleh? So there are those who say he's Nabi, although that's a minority view. And then Allah revealed it to him.
Yes.
But most say he's a righteous king. But then when you read the ayat about Dhul Qarnayn, قُلْنَا يَا ذَا الْقَرْنَيْنِ إِنَّ يَأْجُوجَ وَمَأْجُوجَ, Allah's been speaking to him. So then the Mufassirin say, if he's not a Nabi, how does Allah say, we said to Dhul Qarnayn? They said, bil ilham. Allah inspired to him perhaps through dreams or other ways that he inspires to those who are not prophets. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have made him aware of that. Or they said could be through Nabi Zaman. It could have been through the Prophet at that time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs Dhul Qarnayn about what will happen in the end times. Wallahu a'lam.
So we've only got 5 minutes left. You've got a class to go to, haven't you, Sheikh?
Yeah.
So it's almost
kids,
20 to 4.
I need to go home and get some food first.
I think we'll get that delivered to you. It's best to have him in Ramadan and he doesn't have to ask for food. Great.
You're going to starve me to death.
Right. I think just finish off your question about the divorce.
Ahsan talaq, the proper way of divorcing for a man is to give one talaq while she's not menstruating, lam yujami'aha, he's not being intimate with her, and then just leave it until the iddah is over. That's the correct way. Most assume 3 talaq have to be given. 3 talaq according to Abu Hanif is haram. Although it counts as 3, it's haram to do that. So, afwan, he gave one.
They have to say talaq? Do they not have to say talaq 3 times in one go?
No, it's haram to do that. It's haram to do that.
What?
Imam Shafi said it's jaiz. It's allowed. Abu Hanif said haram, but they agreed it counts as 3. So for a divorce to be effective, he gives one divorce, leaves it until in the iddah he could take her back. If the iddah is over, then it means she's free now. It's what's called talaq ba'in. And then the question there, she doesn't need him to issue 3 in order for her to get married to somebody else. She can just get married anyway once the iddah is over.
So when you say iddah, is that a time period?
3, again, there's some discussion. The ayah in the Quran says, ثلاثة قروء, 3 menses. Abu Hanif says that's 3 menstrual cycles. Imam Shafi says ثلاثة أطهار, the 3 clean periods. So when the divorce was issued, 3 menstrual cycles after that, which usually is around 3 months, but it's not fixed. It's not fixed.
And if a man divorces the wife, say talaq once, should there be some witness around him?
No, there's no requirement for witnesses.
Or between the 2, he can say it clearly.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, it's because I'm asking. I get a lot of calls during the week.
What fatwa are you giving about talaq?
I'm not giving. I'm not giving.
Are you being given fatwas?
No, I tend to forward them to the Sheikh. Now, the other thing is, if a man in anger he says talaq, and then a day later he says, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it."
No, it counts. It counts. It counts.
It counts.
It's only when the anger is so much that he's lost control over his mind.
Right.
Like where he doesn't actually know what he's saying.
What he's saying.
But that's an extreme case. Otherwise, according to all of the Imams, it counts. And as an example, all of the Sheikh I asked that question to, a man's only going to divorce his wife when he's angry. He's not going to sit there and smile and say talaq. It's always going to be when he's angry.
Some of the youngsters, they just go wild and say, "I'm going to just divorce you now."
Yeah, but that's their problem. Like they should understand that, anger or not. Like you've now ended the marriage. Because what happens sometimes it comes to Sheikh, well, can you sort this out? And then they go like, the Sheikh's the problem. So you're the problem because you gave the talaq. And then you run into the Sheikh and say, can you sort it out?
Yeah.
Because I've had that a few times. Like, what type of Sheikh say you can't sort out? Like, you're the problem. You couldn't control yourself. You issued the divorce, so you deal with your problem.
Okay.
It annoys me, that one. That's sorry. I'm not shouting at you. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm not defending.
You things that you got your marriage and your divorce. There's no joke.
Yeah.
Marriage and divorce.
Yeah. Just on that, because the Prophet said 3 things: ثلاث جدهن جد وهزلهن جد. 3 things he said, serious or in joke, they count. He said, marriage, divorce, and freeing a slave. And I'll mention this. When I was studying...
Marriage, divorce and freeing a slave.
Back in the olden days when they had slavery.
Of course.
So even as a joke, a man says to his wife, ha ha ha, I divorced you 3 times. No, it doesn't matter. He comes down and says a joke. Prophet said it counts. I asked Sheikh Siraj when I was studying with him many years back, like, why particularly with marriage and divorce? He said, that tells you the sanctity of marriage. These are things you don't play around with. Like you're playing with a gun and you just accidentally shoot it and goes off and kills a person. So, no, I'm sorry. No, there's certain things you don't mess around with, right?
Oh, okay.
Marriage and divorce is amongst those things. Yeah, as long as she's within the iddah. You just get married first, and we'll explain the whole system to you once you get married.
That's a good thinking about getting married already.
What's he thinking about divorce before he's even married?
Yeah, absolutely. The pilot. Well, if you find some beautiful one, let us know in the...
Oh, we'll never divorce her if she's...
We'll do your marriage on the air.
Get married to one of the stewardesses, yeah.
We'll find him one. Sheikh, sorry, there's the other thing. So if the man says it's talaq once in anger or whatever form,
counts, yeah.
but within the 3 months, you can take that back, did you say?
Yeah, if it's once or twice. 3 you can't take back.
Okay, so if it says once or twice, say talaq twice.
Yeah, you can take it back.
You can take it back after 3 months.
No, after the 3, it's gone. It's gone.
Before the 3 months.
Within the waiting period, yeah.
And he have to say to the wife that
He doesn't have to say to her, he just says, Raja'tuki, I've taken you back. He can say it to himself.
Okay.
Doesn't need that to be. And then just tell her later.
That's important because I get a lot of calls. He says it's in anger within 3 months, soon after, if he says
as long as within the time period, then he can take it back, provided he's not done 3.
3 times.
3 times now. It's finished.
3 consecutive times, it's all over.
You know, let me tell you about the 3 times.
That's interesting. You got 3
let me
chances.
explain the 3 times. That's the point. That's exactly the point.
He's got it.
3 chances.
That's exactly the point.
You got 3 chances.
So, the point is that you divorced in the fitter once, and then you realize, no. So now you got a chance.
Yeah.
Second, you got a chance. Third time, no, it's too
That's
much
it.
now.
Yeah. No.
You had 2 chances. 3 strikes and out, yeah.
That is beautiful. That's
and that's also why it's so important. Men don't divorce 3 times at once.
Yeah.
Because you've just taken out that. You've removed it. Allah gave you a chance and you just lost it.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very good point.
You've changed the whole thing to divorce. Let's go back to dinosaurs over there.
It's an issue that troubles my head all the time.
I need to sit down with you personally and go through the whole discussion.
I think so, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because some of these questions, we can answer them, you see, without troubling
No, don't answer them. Go back to the scholars, yeah?
But, of course.
He's already behaving like a mufti.
Let's go to the dinosaur question, shall we? Do Muslims believe in dinosaurs, and would these have been before Prophet Adam alayhi salam?
There's nothing in the Quran or the Sunnah to indicate that we don't believe in them. There's nothing to say that they can't. It's just another khalq of Allah, another creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Let's take the last call.
Last call.
Because you got to go.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah.
Who's the brother that we're talking to?
My name's Isam.
Isam?
Yeah.
From Cardiff?
No, from Manchester.
Okay, bismillah. How can we help you, Isam?
Yeah, well, just I'm online just watching the sheikhs. Whilst they're on the topic of divorce, just wanted to ask if someone was under the influence of drugs and gave talaq to his wife, would that still count?
Yeah, they said the fuqaha stated talaq al-sakran waqi'. So the divorce if somebody's intoxicated, whether through alcohol or through drugs, as long as it was provided it's taken in a haram manner, then it will count. The lawful manner is like medication, like for example morphine that was taken in that state, or for example Muslims coerced into drinking alcohol, he's drunk and he said it, then it doesn't count. But if willfully, knowingly, he drank alcohol or took drugs and then makes a statement, this is zajran, as a punishment for that person, the divorce counts. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you for your question. That was the last question. So
can we just follow with Sophia's follow-up point? Because it's another detail for you to know.
5 years after.
Yeah, so this is a detail for you. So you said if you divorce her once or twice, within the waiting iddah, he can take her back with or without her agreement. He doesn't need her to agree. Because Allah says, وَبُعُولَتُهُنَّ أَحَقُّ بِرَدِّهِنَّ. The husband have the right to take her back. That's provided
and he doesn't
within.
have to tell the lady.
Eventually, he's going to have to tell
He's got
her.
to tell the baby.
Because they're still married.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
But then, just to follow on from that, but those that he's given, he's not cancelled it. It just means the marriage carries on. So if he's done 2 and he takes it back, they're still married. But now he's only got 1 more left.
Yep.
Then it's over. It doesn't nullify what he's done. It just means that the marriage still continues. But now the iddah is over. He divorced her once. The waiting period is over. 5 years later, after one divorce, they not have to do aqd jadid. They have to renew the marriage contract.
How do they do that?
Just call you and just get an imam to no.
To do a re-nikah?
So if the waiting period's over, they want to get back together. There must be a new contract with her agreements. With her agreement, he can't just take her back. So now this lady wants to get back with the husband, and he does. Just bring 2 witnesses. I've married you. You don't need a man for a marriage. You don't need a man. You just need 2 witnesses, and then he says, I've married you. She says, I accept, and agree a mahar, and that's it.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Well,
Don't
Sheikh,
need a man.
adding on to that, if, he's given himself a chance, he's got the last talaq divorce to give, then he's give his 3rd, then after it...
No, then she has to get married to somebody else.
Someone. That's where,
that's three's too much. 3 is not easy. 1 or 2 divorce, it's easy to rectify that. If it's within the waiting period, just say, I've taken you back. After, like in this case, just do a new aqd.
After 3 months, you have to renew your marriage.
Could be, like she says, 5 years later. It could be like 20 years later. Could be 20 years. And she doesn't have to have married anybody. 3, she has to have married somebody, and the marriage, jima' dukhul, that they must have consummated the marriage, and then the second husband divorced without setting her up, and then she can get married to the original. So that's really, really difficult. And they said, the ulama, they stated, shart al-dukhul, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the messenger required that second marriage to have sexual intercourse, apologies for children, for a man to understand that if you divorce your wife 3 times, you're not getting her back unless she's actually been with another man. So it tells you the severity of 3 divorces.
Absolutely.
Allah. Became a divorce session, right?
Good. Okay, we're going to finish off the sessions here.
We need to sing to lighten the mood, right?
Let's do the last singing.
I know. I know. But divorce is rampant in Muslim community, and there's so much ignorance about it.
It's amazing how
it's the worst halal that
it's spreading like fire. We need to do something about it.
Right point, it's the most hated halal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is divorce. Let's sing to lighten the mood. That felt a bit heavy.
Bismillah.
He knows how to divorce before he knows how to get married. بلغ العلا بكماله كشف الدجى بجماله حسنت جميع خصاله صلوا عليه وآله طلع البدر علينا من ثنيات الوداع وجب الشكر علينا ما دعا لله داع أيها المبعوث فينا جئت بالأمر المطاع جئت شرفت العوالم مرحبا يا خير داع اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه. Just to add a point there, because Sheikh Waddah, this song was sung by the Sahaba when they were receiving the Prophet coming to Medina. Now, what they sang was جئت شرفت المدينة. You've come to honor Medina. What we sing, and this is from many of the munshideen, جئت شرفت العوالم. You've come to honor the whole of the world. Which is, the sharaf is there. So although the Sahaba sang Medina, we sing al-awalim. The whole of the East came to honor the whole. Awalim is the world of the jinn and the angels and the malaika, everything. Because he's lil alameen. He's a mercy for all worlds.
I'll have to attend your madrasa for that.
No, you'll have to get Ayan to teach you. Your son knows all this stuff.
There we go. Alhamdulillah, the laughter on the thing.
Alhamdulillah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
So, do you want to make a final announcement?
No, I think we're going to go straight into dua and then we'll finish up there.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik alayhi wa sahbihi wa sallam. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
That just concludes our program today, brothers and sisters. Jazakumullah khairan for those of you who have asked the question and those of you who have rang in as well. The show is now ends, and inshallah join us Thursday for the children's show, which is the Muslims Got Talent at 6 p.m. till 7 p.m. If you have a child up to the age of 16, why don't you encourage them to call our studio live at 6 p.m. on Thursday with the potential they have or the talent that they have. Also join us again next Friday with the happy Sheikh, the ginger Sheikh, the Smiley Sheikh, the singing Sheikh now. Next Friday at 2:30 p.m. Don't forget to donate and do Sadaqatul Jariyah for the House of Allah. It is in a lockdown situation, as you know. So whatever you give, it's for your Yawm al-Qiyamah. It's for the Akhirah. So do small deeds, small charities often, and that counts more than anything else. So do what you can for the masjid. Inshallah, we will meet again. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us all safe and well. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.